Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I've got a little project here. I've got not one, not two, but three of these portable jump packs that I've picked up over the years. One of them, my sister was moving and she gave it to me, and that was a freebie. And then this one I recently got at an estate sale. This was brand new in the box. The charger still had the wire tie around the cord. It had never been used, and right out of the box it's sick. So the problem with all three of these units is the same. The batteries, internal batteries on these have gone bad. So I am going to show how we can source cheap aftermarket, relatively cheap aftermarket batteries online to replace the cells inside these things and therefore make them usable again, because they're useless without them. This one here, it'll take a charge, but it'll have no, it'll appear to take a charge, but then it'll have no power. It just can't do a jump. And the other ones, actually I'm not positive if those are the batteries on those ones, if it's the batteries that are the culprits on those or not, because I think one or two of those didn't even want to seem to register a charge. So that could actually have a circuitry problem, but we'll be able to diagnose that easy enough. So for starters, I know that this one is almost positive this is going to be a battery issue. So we're going to get this open. So this one, oddly enough, this one has these really deep holes. Phillips had screws down inside of them, and they're hard to get to. And I can tell from the feel that these are not the size that I thought they were. Get my other mighty Exolite screwdriver. There we go. Guess I am going to need that other screwdriver after all. Three smaller screws they put here on the handle just to be tricky. Anyway, these screws are so tiny, I wonder whether or not I even needed to take that apart. Not that they really even did anything. Well, let's see. Oh, a couple hidden under here, underneath the cables. Of course, we can tell what kind of batteries are in this before we even open it up, because there's a sticker right here telling us that this contains sealed lead battery, and the battery must be recycled. Because as many of us know, lead is one of those metals that if it gets into humans can be very, very bad for you. And so if it gets in the ground, it can end up getting into the water table and contaminating our water. I'm not going to be able to take this cover all the way off because of the way that they ran the cables through these holes, but that's okay. So all I needed to see was this big honking battery right here. So you can see the rating of the battery is right here. It's a 12 volt battery, which we figured because it's a 12 volt jump pack, and it's a 10 amp hour rating. I'm not sure what the /20 HR, I guess 20 hour means. Kind of thrown by that, but I do know that this is the more important rating here. It's the 10 amp hour rating. And if that wasn't easy enough, there's even this is a Ritar brand battery, and there's a Ritar part number. It's an RT12100. So easy enough to figure out what the deal is with that. So how do I diagnose whether or not it's the battery or something wrong with the circuitry responsible for recharging the battery? Well, first thing I'll do is I'll look at what the battery voltage is right now. And as I suspected, it's pretty much dead. It's 8.5 volts. It's a 12 volt battery. I'm not even putting a load on it, and it's only registering 8.5 volts. That's pretty darn dead. So next, what I'll do is I'll plug it in as if I'm charging it. Charge light's on. I'll look at what the voltage is across here, across the battery now. And it is just over 12 volts, 12.2. In order for a battery to take a charge, you have to put in a little, you have to apply a slightly higher voltage than what it's used to seeing. So if it's supposed to be a 12 volt battery, you could put in a little more. So in this case, it's only put in 12.2, but that should be sufficient for it to trickle charge this battery. Problem is, I know that if I leave this on 24 hours, come back, it just will not have any punch. So I know that this battery is bad. If these batteries are dead and they're allowed to freeze, it pretty much ruins the battery. So I suspect that's what happened in this case, because where I found this was in an unheated barn type garage situation. So that's probably what happened here. Now this is candidate number 2. And this is a little bit different kettle of fish. This is a Schumacher, and this is quite a bit heftier than that last one. You know, you can just tell by feeling how heavy it is. It's got a lot more going on in it. This one probably has 2 packs in it, or one much larger battery pack. But this is probably meant to give you quite a bit more capability as far as a boost goes. This one, also the way that this one charges is a little bit different. The charging system is completely internal to this. So on the back, you just have a place for a regular extension cord to plug onto. So whereas we've got that little AC adapter on the last one, that's taking the 120 volt AC and converting it to a lower voltage for the charging circuit. This one has the whole charging circuit inside. So there is a small transformer in here, more than likely, but that's not really where all that extra weight's coming from. That extra weight's coming from bigger battery packs, bigger lead acid battery packs. So this one, I don't remember. This one obviously is well used by somebody. This is a acquisition from the outdoor flea market. Again, I just assume that chances are high that this will not be in working condition, so I pay only about $5 for these. And not unlike the last unit, it has the nerve to tell me that it is fully charged when I plug it in for charging. However, when I unplug it and I use the switch here that is supposed to show me the status of the internal battery, it registers nothing. And I think if I left it on overnight, I was able to get it to maybe come up to like red. So again, more than likely we've got internal battery packs that have failed. Well, this one was a little more interesting to take apart. Some of the deep holes here for the screws are deformed or something, because the shank of my screwdriver won't go in. Some of them I was able to push through, some I wasn't able to. I don't know what they're clogged with or what. So on the ones that I couldn't get to with that screwdriver, I could get this shank past the blockage, but then it was a little harder to get it to engage the screw. It's almost as if maybe they put something in these screws after they assembled it. Maybe they didn't want anybody to ever take this apart. I don't know. The other odd thing is this rusty nut fell out of this thing when I popped the case open. And I am able to smell Something doesn't smell right in here. Almost like a little bit of a burnt smell to it. Alright, so the nut I would have expected to be... Alright, well there we go. There's your problem right there. So the leads going out the to the clamps, one of them comes directly over to the battery. The other one is supposed to go apparently to this device up here. Oh, which is the switch. And that nut somehow came loose, fell off, and that's what this, let me see if I can get this lead, push in far enough to show you. So this is what I saw just floating around inside loose. Yeah, so that is definitely a problem. Unfortunately, that wouldn't explain why it's not charging, because the charging of the battery happens through this wire right here, which goes to the circuit breaker on the back, to this wire, which goes to 12-volt receptacle in front. Where the heck is the charging circuit? Oh, I see. It's a circuit board right on the back here. Oh, wait a minute though. Look at that. That wire right there is also off from the same lug. All right. Well, maybe we should not condemn this one right away after all. You can see the big cell in this sucker. This one is a 12-volt, 18 amp out. Excuse me, 18 amp hour battery. A little bit of a different animal. I've got that all reattached now. I'm gonna take the part number off the battery in here, the HJ12-18-3, which is a 12-volt, 18 amp hour battery. Take the information off of that, so I'll have it in case I do end up having to order a battery for it. Here's our final contestant this evening. This one actually has no markings on it to indicate who makes it. The small print here in the back does indicate that it's made in China, like most of these. But I thought it was kind of strange. But it does have an IP75 over here, and when I Google IP75 booster pack, it comes up that this is a Schumacher. Oh, it does say it right there. Just as I tilted it back, I could just make it out now. It's kind of hard to see, but it's a Schumacher right there. So this is a smaller version of the Schumacher booster pack, and well, that's interesting. This wasn't broken when I put this away. Huh. Well, I think I've got some replacement clamps around here, but honestly, it might be a non-starter between having to do that and replace the battery in this thing, because this one's got the same ailment as the last one, which is uses the same type of charging system, and ran into the same problem with this one, which was no matter how long I left it on charge, it would not take a charge. So, you know, it says it's full now because it's on power, but if I leave that on charging, eventually that light should go out, this light should come on green, and then I should be able to disconnect it, and when I press this it should come up full, and it doesn't do that. So again, I think it's a bad battery pack. This is the one that my sister gave me, and they had this stored in an outdoor shed. So I suspect probably what happened with this one was the same as with that other one that I got out of that old garage barn situation. Probably was a completely dead pack, and that dead battery was allowed to freeze. Once that happens, they pretty much are junk. Now, this one sure is easier to open than those other two were. Oh, this actually has a Schumacher battery in it. That's interesting.
This is using an SCH12-7AH-3. And that is a 7 amp hour battery, which is exactly what the specs I just saw online for this set, that it was a 7 amp hour battery. So I'll have to see if that's a fairly cheap replacement battery. Maybe I still will get one and revive this thing. All right, time to order some batteries. Well, I got the first of the replacement batteries in that I've ordered. This one is a this one came off of Amazon. This is a Chrome battery, is the brand name. You know, cheap lead acid, sealed lead acid battery. And this is rated at 12 volts, 9 amp hours, based on this little sticker that looks like it was haphazardly slapped on here at the factory. So I don't know how honest that rating is, quite frankly, and I'm just going to roll with it. I'm going to use this because it is a 9 amp hour. I'm going to use this to replace this Schumacher branded 7 amp hour. I had checked, and I think the physical dimensions of the two batteries are identical, leading me to suspect more and more that this is more than likely actually a 7 amp hour battery. The other small jump pack uses a 10 amp hour battery, so if I put this 9 amp hour into that pack, I'll actually be derating that pack. So I'm going to probably end up getting a 10 amp hour battery for that one. So we'll start with this one, even though this is the one that's got the broken clamp. Alright, got it all unbolted. Now for the moment of truth. Yeah, that's a perfect match size-wise. Notice there's no rubber pads or anything on this one like there is in the other, one of the other chargers. And for a second there, I thought they weren't going to fit. All right. Let's see if this has a charge on it. It does, and it is showing in the yellow, so there is a charge on it from the factory, which is not uncommon with batteries, but it's not fully charged. So we're going to throw this thing on the charger, and hopefully it'll take a charge, and we'll give it a test. Alright, so I had this thing on charge overnight, and when I first plugged it in, the red light was on saying it was charging, and every once in a while it comes on. I think that's probably like a maintain mode. It just comes on and checks, and then it goes back to fully charged. So now, if I take it off the cord, and I press the charge status, I get the green light, which means it's full. So now let's see if this really has any power. So last time I came out here to start this old girl, I noticed the battery was really low and it wasn't spinning very fast. So I know what you're thinking. Steve, you're nuts. This little jump pack is not going to do anything for this thing. So, well, let's just find out, shall we? So, battery's on the other side, but I just wanted to crank it from this side to show you how slow it's cranking, and then we can make a comparison when I put the boost pack on. So I can crank it, but it's pretty slow. So like I mentioned, this is the boost pack that's got the broken clamp. But I figure what I'll do is I'll just temporarily use this clamp to hold this clamp on. So unlike the big boost pack, there isn't like a knob on here to turn from charge to, you know, whatever. So I'm assuming that you just hook it up and you go. All right, let's see. I'll be as surprised as anybody if this works.
definitely an improvement. But I can tell just by the sound, that's just not going to be enough. But I mean, that battery is huge, and it's very cold out here, and you know, diesels don't like the cold. There's no preheater or anything on this thing. In a couple of days, it's going to come up to in the 40s. It'll be that 10 degrees will make a big difference here, temperature-wise. Like I said, it's in the 30s today, but there's a wind chill. It's making it feel a lot colder. So that one little attempt was enough to make that pack now read that it needs to be recharged. So I think that pack is just probably only good for like really small lawnmower and ATV type batteries. This generator battery is completely dead. Hey, pretty good. Well, this thing has been completely run out of gas. I just put fresh gas in there. I wonder if this thing's gonna give enough boost to crank this thing long enough to get it started. Yeah, I didn't think so. But I mean, that's still pretty impressive. This battery is completely junk. Yes, the largest of the 3 charge packs we're going to try and save here. So this is the one that had the HJ12-18-3 Schumacher brand battery, which is a 12 volt 18 amp hour. And what I found online for a cheapo replacement for about 40 bucks, I think it was, this is the Expert Power EXP12180 12 volt 18 amp hour battery. So it should be, I think I checked the dimensions, should be a perfect fit. And then of course the other thing, whenever you're looking at these batteries and you're selecting them online, you have to make sure that they are the lug style, because a lot of these are used in applications where they are like backup batteries, so they're a lower current draw for a longer period of time, and they can get away with just having these push-on spade connectors, but I wouldn't trust those with a jump pack type of application personally. Wow, these must be self-locking nuts. Oh, almost forgot that little washer. I'm sure that's mission critical. Oh, the power was on this thing. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, no.
Alright, I'm only going to put 4 screws in it for now because I want to charge it and test it before I bother putting it all the way back together. So this must be push to test. There we go. So it's showing a green light at the top for full, but then it also shows recharge at the bottom, so that's interesting. And if we turn it on, we get something. So, alright. So the charge that's in there right now is the storage charge that they're putting these batteries in. So it's definitely not a full charge. So I'm going to throw this on the charger and we'll see what it does.
Okay, the charging light is on, so I'll leave it on and see whether or not it takes a full charge. Well, it's about 7 hours and the green light is on, indicating that it's fully charged. Alright, let's see if this jump pack makes a difference. Battery's probably low on the backhoe here, but let's I'll bump it. It's only about 30 degrees out right now, so without preheating it or anything, I'm not going to be able to start it, but I just want to see how it cranks. So first without the jump pack. So you can see how quick it slows down. Alright, there's a switch on the jump pack here that you have to turn on in order to energize it. So these clamps don't have any power going to them when this switch is off, which is kind of nice. That other jump pack doesn't have that, so the only thing keeping the other jump pack from having a pretty exciting spark incident is the fact that you've got the clamps clamped on these plastic ears that it has on it. So, all right, let's see what this does. Well, that's a definite improvement. With a shot of ether, I'm sure I could get this thing to start, but I don't need it right now. Just wanted to show that the repair on the jump pack is successful, so I can just put the rest of the screws in and this one will be done. It's already calling for a recharge, so it didn't take much to discharge this thing, but then again, this starter, this is a 6-cylinder diesel engine. That starter is pretty massive. You can see I've got this commercial battery here that I use on this thing, so you know, on a regular automobile, I think this thing would be working perfectly fine. In fact, just for giggles, let's see what it does on the GT17, which has a battery that is completely dead. All right. Yeah, pretty good. Didn't even have the choke pulled. I wonder if this would even start. Well, this thing's been sitting most of the winter and not being used, and we've got this problem to deal with. The squirrels love to eat the plastic caps on the fuel tanks around here.